What do most people do wrong in a fight? Panic and or freeze. The person willing to commit to violence fastest usually wins. If you think you're in a spot where fighting is the only solution, hit fast and hit hard. None of this waiting to be attacked bullshit. I'd say 9/10 fights start with the aggressor throwing a big right hand. If you prepare for that, then you are already ahead. Also, most street fights I see online, people swing wildly. I'd guess because they think the more you swing the harder you hit, but this is not so. If you take a wide swing, I have more time to react and more room to block. Add to this that most people just throw arm punches. It's much better to throw a very straight punch without telegraphing your movement. Start your punch from your feet and transfer energy to your legs, through your hips, up your spine, through your shoulders, and finally to your fist. You want your first to the B end of the whip, but the power comes all the way from the ground. I was also taught not to aim for the face, but imagine punching a hole right through their head. Being drunk. It provokes the desire, but it takes away the performance. Semicolon. Edit. Thanks for the gold. Who knew quoting one of the most famous authors in history would relate to so many people? I was a bouncer for roughly 5 years during my college and law school days. The number one biggest mistake people make, and it ain't even close, is getting liquored up first. Reaction time is everything, and those tenths of a second, or more, you're losing are catastrophic. Yep, my ranked level in Rocket League can attest to the reaction time bit. Just watch Baze Rutten's video Lethal Street Fighting. It's outrageously funny, and some of the things he teaches are not wrong. It covers pretty much everything mentioned here, plus a few weird ones like bouncing a guy's head off the ambience tables, chairs, walls, and playing hide the hot sauce bottle once your opponent is unconscious. But there's also serious stuff. Joking aside, running people's heads into things is really effective. You're gonna get charged for it if you so much as thought about starting the initial conflict, but it's not ineffective if you're the victim and you're fighting to save yourself. Traumatic impact of the head on a hard heavy object is no joke. Lose. Hang on a secretary, you might be onto something there. Fighting fire with something other than fire. Oil. 1. Get in a fight. 2. Fight fair. 3. Not take the earliest opportunity to end it or get away. 4. Not knowing who has more to lose. This guy knows what is up. I came here to say something similar, but not nearly as efficient or effective as this. I know a few guys who probably would not lose a fight to 99% of the population, and whenever they teach a self-defense class or are asked by a novice who knows they know how to fight what to do if someone wants to take your wallet or gets in your face for whatever reason, the answer is always 1. Give it to them. 2. Run. 3. If that fails, go for eyes, balls, hair and realize that the other guy has nothing to lose, so you better go there too. Fight on pavement. Please don't do that. You can easily fall and hit your head and get serious brain damage or get slammed into the pavement. Either take it to a softer surface or don't fight at all. Edit. YouTubers, please censor my name. Edit 2. Lameo, stop roasting me. D. I'm not sure people getting into fights have the time to figure out a venue. Open bracket. A lot of people probably don't know how to make a proper fist. I remember as a kid, my taekwondo instructor got on students' asses about this. Never ever put your thumb inside your fist. You'll break it. I took taekwondo as well, and that was the first thing we were taught, and one of the things that is burned into my brain permanently. Saved my thumbs a few times. Underestimate their opponent by just looking at their size. Look at Johnny vs Danielson. Or look at skinny MMA fighters and see them in street clothes. You never know what kind of experience / training they have under the hood. They're all so short. Do something fancy they saw on last night's MMA fight. If even trained fighters have trouble landing that cool looking spinning back kick or flying triangle every time without fail, then an amateur would fail every time. Also, remember to keep your chin down, hands up to protect your head, and remember that you have hips and legs. Especially after this week. How many people are gonna try to be Masvidal, and how many are gonna end up like Askren? Think that they can fight. Most people think they can. They can't. Yeah, my friend did kickboxing in secondary school and loads of people didn't know this. A lot of people also didn't like him, so it was up to his friends to say, if you fight you will lose and be humiliated, so please don't, and all of them would respond I could take him easy, and in the end, no they couldn't. Get in a fight. I see all these old movies from the 80s acting like it's a normal part of adolescence to get in a fight or two. My life couldn't have been further from that. It used to be normal, but then they stopped painting baby cribs with lead-based paint. Stay clothed. Don't make me take my pants off. Don't make me take your pants off. Take lunging punches. The running up then jump and punch is a lot worse though. This was really effective in Captain Commando, though. Control breathing. You'd be surprised how quickly you'll get gassed. Solid way to get yourself KO'd. I have trouble controlling my breathing all the time in everyday circumstances. It's been a problem as long as I can remember. Does anyone have any tips? In an everyday situation, I can't help you since it's natural for me. But in a sports situation, breathe in through nose, exhale through mouth. Exhale when you put the most effort usually helps. Exhaling when throwing a punch or lifting something etc. Don't fight if you don't have to. People picking fights with you are better at fighting than you. If you have to fight, end it as fast as you can, as dirty as you can. If you're outnumbered, don't lock eyes with one guy. Swivel your head. Don't get surrounded. Keep your hands up. Protect your head. At the first moment you can run. Protect your head. Get the first hit and no matter what. Protect your head. Protect your fucking head. Look up what self-defense weapons are legal where you live. Some places let you carry a deagle, others won't even let you carry pepper spray. Edit. Don't wander around in dimly lit areas at night. If you absolutely have to, go with 2 to 3 friends. Keep your chin tucked. Phones, wallets, and money can be replaced. One solid punch to the head can kill you or cause serious brain damage. If he wants your stuff, just give it to him and walk away. Don't try to reason with someone coming up to you aggressively. If you see an opening to lay the fucker flat, take it and run. Fight dirty. Grab any loose object that you could use as a weapon. Don't break a beer bottle to use as a makeshift stabbing weapon. You'll just cut your hand open and it won't make the shape you think it will. Use an empty beer bottle like a club. Distract, misdirect, and sucker punch. Are you really going to start a fight in front of a cop car? Motioning behind them, then just throw your fist with as much weight behind it as you can. Protect your fucking head. Edit 2. A lot of people are taking issue with my second point. In a random street fight, you always need to assume you're going up against someone who's physically stronger and more skilled than you. It's so much safer to overestimate your opponent than to underestimate them. Also, the head you must protect. Telegraphing your intentions. If you so insist on getting into a fight, don't start screaming or shouting. Don't even look at your opponent too much. Just walk towards them, and when they have no way to dodge anymore, and you're well inside their reach, land a quick jab at their throat or uppercut their jaw. Semicolon. If they don't go down immediately, follow it up with a quick kick in the groin. You're not looking to have a prolonged engagement or show off your sick martial arts skills. You want to exert as little effort as possible with as much result as possible. This is the only serious and relevant information I've read in this thread. Semicolon. To further expand on the idea of telegraphing intentions, experience and success, regardless of fighting style, often can be seen in the efficiency of the motions and the willingness to wait till the last second. It's easy to tell if someone lacks experience if they react too quickly, as it shows they are afraid of being hit. Inexperienced people in fights often neglect critical points of balance or targets. People often think strikes to the face are the only real option. Chin and kidney blows require some accuracy and are not suitable targets for most amateurs. It's often best to try to take down the person if you see them off balance by going for the knee and pushing it into their chest. Other easy targets that are neglected are the groin, diaphragm, armpit, and neck. Most of the aforementioned areas can debilitate an average person with little force. Semicolon. It is easiest to take someone down when they least expect it. That means hitting someone while they're unaware or unprepared. If you're attacked, it's important to know how to wait till the last second to strike. From what I've noticed, most people that have not had any training just throw as many punches as fast as they can, hoping some of them will connect instead of having any sort of strategy. They learned from video games. Just mash all the buttons and hope something cool happens. One time I got into an altercation with a larger fellow and started to panic. I wound up quickly crouching down, then taking a quarter step forward while standing back up, and also simultaneously throwing a jab, and much to my surprise a fireball flew out of my hands. Try to go crazy and expend lots of energy when not needed to. Every fight video I see, people are just throwing haymakers and it looks like their arms are noodles. Keeping your hands up and throwing a few quick jabs usually takes care of those idiots. People have no idea what to do with their feet and their center. Most idiots just swing their arms to no effect and throw themselves off balance. Keep your feet under you and punch with your hips. That alone will put you ahead of 75% of people. I've seen a lot of fights and been in more than a few. The loser almost always loses because they don't actually want to hurt the other person, though it's real hard for me to say that's wrong. Yep, I've seen people release a submission because they abide by the tap. Next thing you know they release it and they're out cold. Release the submission, but remain in position. And by release I mean keep it locked in but stop squeezing. For instance, rear naked choke. Or, in the case of something like an armbar where, if you let off too much pressure you are underneath them, keep hold of that arm and use it to get up. Basically, what I'm trying to say, agreeing with what Goddess 8 said, is don't let go of everything just because they tap. Mostly the inner fight part, but also the lesser known the other guy knew a fight had begun, but somehow I did not, until I was already knocked out method. And then there's the timeless classic, I mean I never threw a punch in my life, but I lift a little, and look how buff I am, where this other kid's small and wiry f. Easy win maneuver. I'm slightly bigger therefore I must be the clear winner mentality. When I was in the military, I sparred with a guy half my size once. I figured I'd take it easy so as to not really hurt him. As an accomplished amateur boxer, discovered after the fact, he mopped the floor with me embarrassingly quickly. It was a good lesson to learn in a controlled environment. Who'd have thunk that my second most upvoted comment would be about the time I got my ass whooped by a dude half my size. First is about a cat. Fight fair. Look, if it's a fight you don't have to have, you should avoid it at all costs. Only an idiot gets into a fight they don't have to be in. If you're cornered into one, then your goal should be to end the fight as quickly as humanly possible, with as little risk to yourself as possible. That means you don't stand there trading punches like a boxing match. It means you kick him in the nuts, you wrench an arm out of socket, you do whatever it takes to make them physically incapable of fighting back. Your goal is to survive without injury. You fight dirty, you fight to win, and you don't worry about any fair nonsense. Fair fight is what the loser cries about to explain why they lost. Bruce Lee wrote a ton when he hurt his back in a weightlifting accident, not an underground fight. One of them later became the Tao of Jeet Kune Do, which was compiled and published posthumously. In it he says basically what you are saying. He says something about how most martial artists are always concerned with fighting honorably, but when you look at it objectively you have to admit that fighting is a dishonorable practice, especially in the modern age. So why be hung up on honor? To that end he basically goes on to write a primer for what would later become modern MMA, where he finds the most effective techniques in dozens of martial arts and compiles them in one place. Every style has a weakness, an area to exploit. But if one has no style, how can the enemy exploit that? Jeet Kune Do is the style of no style. Throw hammer fist slap punches. Not lock the wrist properly. Connect with the pinky side of the fist instead of the pointer. Hold their arms outstretched at their sides while talking nonsense. Stick their chin out while talking nonsense. Fail to use their elbows, knees, and kicks. Not keep an eye out for secondary threats. Not remain in control of their emotions. Stop before the threat is stopped. Watch the opponent's eyes as opposed to their hands. Talk to the police without a lawyer present afterwards. Semicolon. Edit. Since this is getting some attention. Fail to use their hips and their legs to power their punches. Understand basic human anatomy and target the weak points, neck, knees, throat, temple, and etc. Remain stationary as opposed to moving around. Only throw punches and disregard chops, strikes, and pressure points. Have no understanding of Greco-Roman wrestling, or BJJ if the fight goes to the ground. Not improvise any available object as a weapon for reasons of honor or fairness. Reason with an inebriated or enraged attacker. Turn their back to an active threat. Ask bystanders for help. Google bystander effect. Escalate to attempt to establish dominance/social standing. Not exiting the second the opportunity presents itself. Continuing after a fight is over. Semicolon. Edit second. I want to be clear that avoiding a fight is the best policy, and every comment above and below me that stated such deserves your upvotes. I may have answered the question best in technical terms, but they are far more correct. That last one is very important. And the realization that the person you are considering fighting may not have the presence of mind or even mental capability to stop if you get knocked out is another reason not to get into a random fight. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you can see when I upload new daily content. Goodbye.